Good day. Welcome back to our class in Assessment in Learning 1. I hope you always have with you a learner's heart. This is our first lecture and it is on definition of terms. So let us start with outcome-based education, as this is the trend in our educational system these days. For outcomes-based education, as you can see in its definition, it talks about the essential of all students to be able to do successfully at the end of the learning experiences. So the question here is, what are you able to do successfully? So it's not ano yung naikarga sa utak mo, ano yung naintindihan mo. But it's more than that. It's what can you do now? So it's all about what the students are able to do. So we need to organize the curriculum, the instruction, and assessment. So that eventually we can say, eto yung kayang gawin ng ating estudyante. Okay? We also have here a comic strip. May nag-uusap. Ang sabi, I taught Stripe how to whistle. Diskumpiyado ikausap. I don't hear him whistling. Sabi nung nagyayabang. I said I taught him. I did not say he learned it. Well, we are not much concerned about teaching itself. We are more concerned about learning. What have you learned today? So that is the focus of outcome-based instruction. We also have here a flowchart. Ang title niya, Teaching HOTS. Ano daw yung HOTS? It's Higher Order Thinking Skills, which is the opposite of LOTS. And what is LOTS? The Lower Order Thinking Skills. When we talk about outcome-based education, we are focusing on HOTS. So, we are not much concerned with LOTS, although for every lesson, we need to start with LOTS, which focuses on knowledge of terms and facts and comprehension and application. Alam mo, naintindihan mo, kaya mong gawin. But we should not be contented with that. So, tutulay tayo. What are we going to do to our students? What are we going to do with our students so that they could walk through the bridge and reach HOTS? So we give them challenges, dilemmas, discrepancies, paradoxes, problems, puzzles, questions. With those, the students are encouraged to analyze, to do logical thinking, and so on. And so the outcome of trying to arrive at higher order thinking skills of our students would be that the students are now able to explain, to come up with their own insights, to conclude, to recommend, to decide, to produce, to compose. So that is our HOTS as a result of outcome-based education. Are you still with me? So for the word assessment, we'd like to focus more on the terms gathered and synthesized. So here, the teacher is going to do something, do some measurements, gather data, synthesize, which would serve as a basis for the evaluation. So it's the gathering part, the synthesizing part of all the testing, the observation, the assessment of our students. So it could be done formally and informally. We also have 3 terms here from CHED Memorandum Order 46, series of 2012. The assessment of learning, assessment as learning, and assessment for learning. For the assessment of learning, ito yung after. Tapos na ang talakayan. Tapos na ang instruction. So what have we learned? The teacher is now going to assess us. So assessment of learning, this is focusing more on summative decisions. For assessment as learning, it is the concern of the student So the student is going to assess himself and try to determine if he has learned something or not. So this is done during instruction. As the student is assessing himself, he is at the same time learning. For the assessment for learning, this could be done before and also during instruction. You are going to be assessed so that we would know what you still need for learning. So, we should not be afraid whenever we get assessed. We should have that positive attitude like pag sinabi ng teacher, okay, let us have a quiz. So, instead na magagalit tayo, we should have that positive attitude and say, wow, it is an opportunity to learn. The teacher is going to assess us so that the teacher would know how to do instruction for us to learn more and to learn better. So, having the right attitude because there is assessment for learning. Usually, and it is also part of instruction from Prof Ed, that assessment for learning are just recorded but they are not graded. Tinitingnan lang ng teacher, nasaan ka na, ano pa ang kailangan mo. So, masaya tayo pag na-assess tayo. Malalaman ng teacher, ano pa ba ang kulang? So, wow, it's an opportunity to learn. So, if the teacher is going to say, let us perform this and perform that, huwag tayong matakot. Rather, we say, wow, it's an opportunity to learn. Okay, I hope you're still with me. For the other definitions, we have the measurement, assessment, and evaluation. You already had your activity regarding this, and I hope you already have lots of knowledge based on your independent learning. But kwentuhan muna tayo. Okay, for example, may isang magulang lumapit sa inyo bilang isang teacher. Sasabihin niya, teacher, kumusta yung anak ko? Ang isasagot nyo, nanay, tatay, ang nakuha ng anak nyo sa aming exam ay 45. So what is that? Measurement or evaluation? Ano sa palagay nyo? If you say it's 45, if you say it's measurement rather, and that is measurement indeed, then what could be its counterpart in the evaluation side? Kung ang 45 na score ay measurement, ano naman ang inyong evaluation? Malamang ang isasagot nyo, mababa, bagsak. Teka muna, depende yan. If it is 45 out of 100, mababa nga, malamang bagsak. If it is 45 out of 50, mataas, papasa. Balik tayo sa 45 out of 100. Ang baba, pero top-notcher siya. So, iba-iba na naman ang ating pananaw. But what we're now trying to do is to give judgment over the score of 45. So, a score of 45 is measurement, and saying whether it is high or low, passing or failing, that is evaluation. Are you still with me? Another terms, well, still the measurement part. We're talking here also about the tools that we use when we do measurement. It would include tests, questionnaires, rating scales, checklists, and other devices. You are already familiar with tests. And especially for objective type of tests, these are related with measurement. Questionnaire, if you're going to say yes or no, or high and low, or if you do use rating scale in a scale of 1 to 5, you rate your teacher with 5 if you think the teacher is outstanding, and 1 if you think the teacher is poor. That is measurement. Checklist. Given the list of competencies, which ones can you perform best? And so you do the checking, and that is checklist. All of these are tools for measurement. But for evaluation, we can also state that the tools which could be used for evaluation could be anecdotal records, mga kwento, observations, and work examples. So, if you're going to use instruments or devices that make kwenta, nagkukwenta, that is measurement. Pero yung kwento bilang resulta ng pagkukwenta, that is evaluation. Okay, so we also have here online references. All of these, if we try to summarize, well, you're already done with your activities. So we'll just proceed with the summary. So here is the table that I asked you to fill out in your activity. So trying to differentiate measurement to evaluation, what is the kind of data that we use? For measurement, it is quantitative. For evaluation, it is qualitative in addition to quantitative data. You have nothing to qualify if you don't have any data at all. So quantitative and qualitative in addition to quantitative. For the questions to answer, if you're talking about how much, then that is measurement. But if the question is on how well it is, how good it is, that is evaluation. For the time element, ang measurement, it talks about the present. Ano ang natutunan mo sa lesson ngayon? That is measurement. But for evaluation, you have to go back with the past. Ano ba yung objective mo na nais mong marating? So, binalikan mo siya. So, base sa objective mo, ano ang natutunan niya? So, yun yung present. Sinukat mo siya. Based on your measurement, mag-iisip ka ngayon. Na-attain ba yung objective? If it is attained rather, then you proceed to the next lesson. But if you think the objective is not attained, you try to go back and do some more teaching, do more enhancement so as to attain learning. So, malawak ang sakop ng evaluation. As to scope and coverage, in the context of classroom or academics, when we talk about measurement, we start with test construction. And then you're going to administer the test, that is administration. And then, mag-checking daw. Sabi niya, mag-check ka na. That is scoring. So, yun ang kanyang saklaw. From construction to administration to scoring. But for evaluation, based on the scores that you have gathered, you're now going to give your interpretation, your judgment, and or decision. Okay? And for the tools to use, I've already mentioned this a while ago. Tools could include test, rating scale, checklist, scorecard, and questionnaire for measurement. And anecdotal record, observation, and work examples for evaluation. So let us see the flow chart of what the teacher usually does in assessment. So here are the other terms that you might have encountered. I hope you have encountered in your readings. For the test, these are the tools, the instrument that you use to gather data. And testing is the method of using those tests. For the measurement, you're now quantifying the data that you've gathered. And for assessment, you're going to gather and synthesize all the data coming from tests or observation, coming from other mode of gathering data. Ginather mo na siya. So if you try to give a more specific example, in our class, halimbawa, may mga recitation, participation. So ano yung scores ng mga estudyante natin? You have your recitation log or participation log for every involvement in class. Merong katumbas na score. So you have there the participation or recitation log. And if you are going to measure their performance in the activities, so you have their scores in the activities. And then the examination. So if you gather all of these and synthesize them, that is assessment. And based on the synthesized data, you're now going to give your evaluation. So, you're done. Magbibigay ka na ngayon ng grade ng mga estudyante mo. Okay, before we close this topic, I have a question. We said that measurement is quantitative and evaluation is qualitative, right? Tanong ko ngayon, binigyan kita ng grade 95 or binigyan kita ng grade 2. Yung grade na ibinigay ko sa'yo, ano kaya yon? Is it measurement or evaluation? What do you think? Sana naka-face-to-face tayo. I could have gathered your reactions. Anyway, a grade of 95 or a grade of 2, although you could see them as numbers, quantitative, they are not measurement anymore. They are already considered evaluation because this grade of 95 or grade of 2, yung mga numerong ginamit, they are just symbols. 95 may mean very satisfactory. 2 may mean satisfactory. So it's already a symbol that it already means something. A grade of 1 could be excellent. A grade of 5, although it is number, would mean poor and fail. So, hindi ko mo numero measurement na. Depende kung paano ginamit. Okay? So, if you have questions, you may post your questions in our GC or better yet, in our FB group. Or if you're going to use MS Teams, then you just follow instructions based on what I'm going to post in our communication modes. Okay? Thank you for listening. Happy learning, dear students. Always have with you a learner's heart.